Assalamu alaikum, everyone. My name is Zana Khan Khatak. Welcome to another webinar. I am from AI Data Yard. For those of you who are not familiar, AI Data Yard is a global e-learning platform, the first of its kind in Pakistan, that provides professional training in data analytics, AI analytics, and much more to corporates, professionals, and individuals. Alongside this, we also provide AI-powered solutions and full-stack business development services to businesses in data science and intelligence. Today, I have the honor of welcoming Ms. Muazma Zahid on behalf of the entire team of AI Data Yard. She's currently a principal group PM manager at Microsoft and is currently leading developer and AI strategy and execution for Azure SQL databases and SQL Server. Ma'am, we're so honored to have you here. Could you please give a small introduction of yourself?
Thank you so much, Zaina. Thank you for having me on this platform. Assalamu alaikum. Good night. I think it's nighttime in Pakistan, and if you're tuning
It
in from
is.
somewhere else as
Yeah.
well, thank you for tuning into this. As Zaina mentioned, I work in Microsoft. I've been in Microsoft for about 7 years now, but in the tech industry around 17 plus years. I'm originally from Pakistan. I graduated from NAST back in 2006, and really excited to be here sharing about some of the key things that I have been building and working with my teams at Microsoft, and also what I see overall as AI evolving in the industry. So, really excited to be here. I have a few slides. What we will go over is some of the details around the slides, and then we'll have a lot of time for Q&A. So please put your questions in the chat. I would be very happy to go and answer those questions. So again, just to start giving you some introduction from myself, there are some links. If I'm not able to get to your question, please connect with me in one of these platforms. I would be very happy to that answer and connect with you. I am also a LinkedIn instructor. I recently actually launched my second LinkedIn course, which is about building AI applications with Microsoft databases and AI. So check that out. I recently shared a free link of that on my LinkedIn as well. So definitely check that out. I have been working from my first day out of college in data and AI domain, and this has been a great journey for myself. I've seen the evolution of machine learning to where we are today with the LLMs. And my fun fact is my research project out of college was heart attack detection system, which was using predictive AI, basically machine learning models, to say if you are going to have a heart attack in the next few weeks to few days as well. And that time it was not the mainstream. AI was not mainstream. So I have seen the evolution of how a machine learning model can really take a real life problem and solve that. So again, really excited to share this topic with you, how AI and businesses can evolve from strategy to actually execution and implementation for you. All of you who are thinking about AI, maybe you already have implemented some AI solutions. This is an introductory session. I would go into a lot of my learnings and understandings. And again, please leave your questions in the chat from wherever you're watching. So this is how I was thinking. I was talk about the agenda. So we'll talk about why AI matters, why now, why it is more important, more than important for us today to think about these things. I will talk about how you in your company, regardless of your role, can think about AI strategy. How do you really take that strategy into execution? Because strategy is great on paper, but if you don't implement it, it's not going to be useful. Some of the challenges and best practices that I've seen, and then we'll have a lot of time for Q&A. So this is the slide I usually start with to talk about why organizations and businesses really need AI today, and why they need it. They have there is a lot of challenges that companies go through. There's a lot of inefficiency and high operational costs. So if you have, let's say, a call center or other places, let's say you are a manufacturing company, you have a supply chain going on, you have a lot of operational costs, and there's usually somebody responsible for those budgets and numbers, right? How you can optimize it, how you can automate it. We'll talk a lot about that in this session today. A lot of systems maintenance and visibility, again, is very manual today in many companies. Human error, we all know we all make mistakes, especially repetitive tasks, and then scalability issues. So you can hire a number of folks to do the job, but in terms of scalability, how you can think about building a system that is scalable for your customers. So if you're a business, this is a really important time for you to start thinking about AI and how AI fits into solving some of these challenges. Now, why now? This is one stat that if you go on the internet, you can find a lot of these studies. PwC did this recent analysis, and according to them, 2030, by 2030, which is about 5 years away, there's $15.7 trillion in the global economy that AI will contribute to, which means out of that, they expect that about 6.6 trillion is going into productivity gains. The productivity I was just talking about in the previous slide, where efficiency and these things will actually be more used by companies like yourself. So very important for all of you to start thinking about it if not already. And then the consumer demand, customers today expect accuracy. Customers today expect systems that provide up to date correct information the moment they need it and go beyond that, right? I'll talk about a lot of these chatbots and other examples in this session today as well, and I have a cool demo to show all of you as well. So, why matters for you and business? And again, just value prop for that. There's cost efficiency. So once you build a system and you make sure that it's working, and you basically deploy it with the scale for your business, there's a lot of cost savings that come with that, right? And of course, customer experience has been you can enhance that. Again, you can read all these slides, and everything will be available to you. I'll give you a practical example of Netflix. I hope all of you know about Netflix, and you watch some movies over there. Um, when you go there in Netflix, you really know that the system knows you. Then I heard that you were about to say something. It's really like you're talking to a system which really understands you, right? And the more you go there, the more you like movies, the more you kind of interact with it, it becomes more and more personalized, right? So this is a great example where Netflix was one of the first big streaming engine that used machine learning models to really have recommendation engine. They have a complete recommendation engine that they build to optimize and accurately predict types of movies and types of things that you would like. So this is a great example of how machine learning has been really used. The second example I will give is Amazon. So I live in Seattle, which is the Amazon's hub, and my kids, for example, they think of ordering stuff in the morning and they expect it to be delivered the same day. And I know of time where we used to wait for weeks, sometimes months. So right now they have completely optimized their supply chain. There are, right away when you order, when your stuff will get delivered. They have a lot of great chatbots. They have a new thing called Rufus, which they implemented recently, which is an AI-based, LLM-based chatbot, where you can actually search now across the entire database for whatever you're looking for. And even there, there is a very awesome recommendation system. So these are real examples, real companies who built these systems, deployed it for the scale. Amazon does trillions of those orders in an hour, right? So imagine the scale. If you had human beings actually dealing with each one of the order and doing those systems, it's not scalable. So that's the kind of things that I wanted to kind of put the seed in all of your head. Again, if there are any questions, anything that you're seeing, any things that you want to learn from my experiences, please put them in the chat. And I know Zena, you would have some questions as well. Some of the other use cases, again, there's a very long list of things, right? But I just wanted to give you what I'm seeing, right? Like, so I talk to customers on weekly basis. I lead the largest Azure service from product side, Azure SQL database, and trillions of queries come to my service. So really talking to a lot of customers, I try to understand what are their challenges and what are they building when it comes to AI. And these are some of the top ones that come in that I've seen in the recent past. The most common scenario is you as a company has a lot of data. You have Excel sheets, you have your databases, you have these old systems that nobody knows how to access, and you really want to get one system where you can really understand the knowledge base. You have lots of documentation. Nobody knows, the person who's working on it has left. So how do you really bring that knowledge base into it? So that's kind of a knowledge mining and chat with your data scenario that customers are looking for. So many of them are building chatbots, which actually retrieve data. They use this pattern called retrieval augmented generation. I have a demo for that that I will show shortly. and they're building AI assistants. So they're building their own co-pilots, they're building their own GPT on your own data, right? Chat GPT basically. So that's the kind of stuff that I'm seeing. And then there's a lot of personalized recommendations that I gave already gave you example how AI can actually improve that. Document processing, summarization. I don't read long documents anymore. I just talk to Copilot and say, please summarize that. I'll give you a recent example. I was in on holidays and I came back after 3 weeks, 2 weeks of time off, and basically 3 weeks of downtime. And there's a like I look at my inbox that there is 17,000 emails from multiple places that had landed. There's no way I can go through each one of those emails. So what I did is I actually used my Outlook Copilot and asked it to summarize the most important emails that have been directed to me, any action items that have been asked, anything that has directly been talked to me. Please summarize that and give me the citation to that email. And within few seconds, I have a short list of the things that are most important, and I should spend next 10-15 minutes to go through those emails rather than going through the rest of it. And the beauty of this is it also connects to my Teams, Microsoft Teams, which can look at other communications where I was tagged in any, even in the meetings where I was mentioned. So the summary was so great and accurate that I was productive right away. 10, 15, 20 minutes into, after three weeks of vacation, I was very productive. I knew what I have to pay attention to, and I was good and ready to go. So this is real use case. This is a reality where we are today, and I really feel like we are very lucky to be in a place where we are building these systems. We are actually thinking about how these systems will be used in businesses, and it's a great time to be in data and AI. um, any other use cases that you have, please put them in the chat. I would like to know more about that. My favorite use case is actually code generation one and documentation. Nobody likes to document. I have been a software engineer. Nobody likes to write documentation about their code. All the knowledge is actually in people's heads. So it's really easy now to point to any of these systems where you can point to a GitHub library or any of the code that you've written for an AI system to explain what this code is doing. Many of the code that was written by somebody who left the company, or it's been there in the system for a very long time. I personally love, one of my favorite co-pilots is the GitHub Copilot. I used to code a lot, but right now in my current role, I don't have time to code that much. So what I do is basically I use GitHub Copilot. I look at the existing code, some of the samples that my team produces. I just go over there and just glance over some of the things that I want to go, and then even when I'm writing, it's completing it, right? So it's actually providing me recommendation. So it's really great. It's a real assistant that can get me very productive, very fast, and can really look at the code and provide me recommendations where are some of the issues. Sometimes it can even write great test cases for me. It can write really great code for me as well. So I don't know React. Personally, I don't know React. So I was recently learning that for an example that I was building, and I was able to really write. I don't know how well it was, but it was very well. Eventually, I had a code that was working and I had a front end with React working using the GitHub Copilot. So again, these are the examples that get me really excited. These are the real use cases where people are really using AI, and each one of them is built by a company, a business who was thinking about a use case that they can use either internally or they can use externally to sell it to customers. So this is really great. So let's jump into a demo. This demo was built by somebody in my team, and I just wanted to share it with you. So in US, there is, in Pakistan also we have insurance companies, but they're not that huge. In US, normally everything, your car, your home, your any asset you have is actually um, insured, right? So anything bad happens, like maybe you have a flood at home or something bad happens, you get the company. So this is an example of an insurance company, an insurance agent, and he or she is going to go and talk to a customer named John Doe. And before talking to customer, he wants to understand what's going on with that customer, right? So what they have built is a chatbot. So let's see this experience. So they basically just this is just for fun, we added this old modern music. And let's say I'm the agent and I'm going to go and talk to this person called John Doe. I'm saying, I'm meeting with John Doe. What can you tell me about this customer? Now, the system, the chatbot, is going into the entire database and figuring out who this person is, saying, okay, we have two John Does. Which John Doe are you talking about? And then I go in and say, he's the one in Redmond. Redmond is a city where I live. It's where Microsoft headquarters is. And then the system goes in, then says, okay, this person is the customer ID XYZ. This is all of their claims history, all of the things they've done in the past. This is their policy information. This is what they currently are using. And this is the high level communication history with them. We talked to them this time, they were not available, this happened, all of that. So within few seconds, as a person working in the company, I'm up to date. What should I know about this person? So, what is really happening behind the scenes? So, what is really happening is you're taking a natural language English query in this case and converting into a SQL statement. A SQL statement, if you know SQL, you know that most of you have to write it, you have to understand it. In this case, very simple. It's automatically doing this for you. It's going to a customer table and finding the first name and last name. And in terms what is really happening is this is going to an LLM. In this case, I'm using Azure OpenAI. You can use any of the open source models, and that input query that I'm meeting with John Doe is now getting converted into SQL. So this is a simple natural language to SQL statement, or process that has been implemented by this chatbot. But that's not all. Let's go further, right? So now this person wants to learn a little bit more, right? The agent wants to know really how can you best serve the customer. So he goes in and asks that, okay, okay, you tell me about the history of this customer. What else has done? What else? So how many times this person has changed the premium? Premium is like when you change from one package to another package. So then it will go through all the changes and provide that. And further, it actually goes into more questions. Can you summarize any issues this person has recently have? Because it seems like this person wants to talk to me. Something might be going on. So then the chatbot will again go in and provide all of that. So this is why again you can ask the question. I guess that there is an issue that John wants to talk to me. Chatbot will actually go in and provide the entire summary. Now, this is not simple NL2 SQL. This is not a SQL. This data is not there in the database. How did the chatbot knew that to go over all this data and summarize this? This is a pattern what we call retrieval augmented generation. This is recent. I would say last year or so has been in the limelight, where what you do is basically in addition to your LLM, you provide additional context with your data. It could be documents, it could be your databases, and then combined with them, LLM can form an answer and summarize for you. So this is really going beyond traditional LLM based prompting to really grounding on your own data. And that own data is completely up to you, whatever format it is in. It could be in Excel sheets, it could be in a database, it could be in a data lake, and really summarizing this. So just this answer is like mind blowing. So when we first executed this, we were like, okay, it is like thousands of records, and then this is what it is summarizing. And again, what is happening here is that one question, is there anything in the communication history I should be aware of, gets converted into a set of things into entire communication history. And then from that database, we are doing real what we call operational RAG. And why I'm saying operational RAG, again, this is a system in SQL databases where while you're chatting, a new data can come in as well. So this person might be calling the customer service center right now. So you don't want stale data which is lying somewhere as well, right? You want to really know about what is the latest and greatest. And this is the beauty of database systems such as SQL database, that as soon as the data is there, you can basically index it, you can do vector search on top of it, and this is all the communication history that was there for that customer. And in this case, we are really looking for these three. And when we ask the question, what were the premium changes and the communication history, the LLM really knows to go find those ones. And how does it knows? Again, there's a technical detail. If you know about vector databases, so that's the latest capability. Vector databases provide you available option to really go and take the semantic meaning of the words of the sentence and really compare it. So in SQL, again, we have a very simple functionality where we can call from the code. It is a T-SQL code here. It's what I'm showing on the screen. Most of you already know how to write T-SQL statements or SQL statements. And here what we're doing is we're calling an OpenAI endpoint, And then from the result, what we are doing is seeing whatever input query that I asked, which in this case was give me the communication history with this customer, to what is stored in my database, and really seeing comparison and finding the top 10 answers. And from that top 10, I select a few which one makes the most sense. So again, it's a lot of technical detail. The example and sample that I just showed you is available in the resources. You can basically right click, one click deploy this and try it out yourself. I also have the similar one in my LinkedIn course. There is a GitHub repository that you can go try it out. So it's not rocket science. It's not out of your reach. It's not something that is super complex. So definitely, I will encourage you to start thinking about in your systems, in your databases, anything that you have today access to, how you can build these kind of chatbots. Which will reduce the operational efficiency, which will make your customers really happy. So all the research that this person had to do, let's say, would take them 5 hours, now they can be done in 3 minutes, just asking this chatbot, and they're ready to serve this customer better. They're ready to actually go and answer the questions this person has. And now it's one simple example of a chatbot that can really help the customer. So I'll take a quick pause here. If there are any immediate questions, Anna, you have, anyone has, I'll keep going for this example that I just shared.
There are no questions in the comments as of yet. I am checking. I feel like when you're done with the presentation, then we can follow up with the questions. A lot of my questions are continuously being answered, so I think I'll keep the ones I have till the end, and then we can move ahead with questions if that's all right.
Sounds good. And I see some folks have joined from Karachi, and some folks have
Yeah.
joined from other places. So again, welcome. I know it's late in the day for you, so thank you for joining. So now let's talk about strategy development for AI. So now, and this is a good segue, or a thing that I would like to discuss. So what is happening in the industry right now is many companies, even large size, mid sized startups, have appointed AI chief AI officers or chief information officers with the AI roles in there. And a lot of this is coming top down from from your executives, your CEOs, CTOs. So say, okay, wait, what are you doing about AI? Because everybody's talking about AI, right? I want to flip that for you. I want to think about, like, don't do it just because somebody is asking you to do this, right? Really think about your systems, the inefficiencies in the systems that you have access to, and how you can really implement AI strategy for you. And this is very simple. Again, this cannot be summarized in a few slides. I would love to discuss with you if you have any specific scenarios. But these are the 4 steps how you can actually start building an AI strategy. The first is define the business objectives. Define what are you going to actually change. What are your OKRs, objectives, right? So in this case, tie your AI goals to a strategic priority. For example, you might have a strategic priority by business to decrease the cost of a particular system that has been costing you a lot of money. You might have a strategic goal to improve a customer service experience by 10% or 5%, right? Whichever way you're currently measuring it. So today, however you're doing it, assign that to a business goal and assign a AI strategy related to that, and figure out for that particular project, how can you use AI, how can you use machine learning models, how you can use some of these systems to decrease or increase whatever goals you have, whatever OKRs you have. Then the next important stage is the assess your systems and the readiness, infrastructure to the skills to the team readiness and the technology space. There is a lot going on. I every Friday I publish LinkedIn posts. I get like hundreds of responses on my LinkedIn messages when people read that and they're like, "I didn't know this was happening," and I'm like, "Yes." So I try to keep myself up to date, but again, it's a lot that's happening. There are new models that are coming every single day. There is new sets of tools that are coming in every single day. There are companies who are building uh, autonomous systems and a lot of this. So I'm really excited that we are really seeing we are in this era where we are seeing this transformation from infrastructure to really autonomous systems, right? So really assess where your teams are do they know enough about AI? Do you have enough data scientists and AI engineers in your team? Do you have ways for them to learn about it? Can you look at trainings? Can you attend sessions like these? Things like that. Then from that, prioritize and cut things, right? Don't go with a list of 50 things. Nothing will get done. really prioritize a couple of use cases that can move the needle the fastest and the most, right? So there could be a low hanging fruit, something which is readily available, or it could be something that has a high ROI. It might take you a year or 8 months to get there, but you really know that you can get it done. So definitely think about, prioritize, have tough discussions with your team to see which makes the most sense out of the 5 or 6 things that you had identified. Last but not least, I cannot emphasize enough on that: secure leadership buy-in, your executives buy-in, and stakeholder buy-in. Stakeholder means anyone who gets impacted by that work. That could be your customer, that could be anyone else as well. So really think about, in my case, I talk to customers, I give them heads up, this is what we are working on. Do you think it makes sense for you? Some of our MVPs are minimal, some of our MVPs who are most valuable professionals that Microsoft works with, we give them early previews of stuff, and we give them even sometimes prototypes and say, this is what we're working on. What are your feedback? They give us honest feedback. They're like, I don't think anybody's going to use that. And sometimes people are like, oh, this is amazing. I really want to try this out. So really try, give them ideas, give them a vision, even if it's on a paper, give them that, get their buy-in, and really see if they are on board. So that's how I would work on a strategy. Write a paper, write a 2 pager, 3 pager, get the buy-in, make fancy slides if that is needed for you. Go to your leadership, do a quick POC. In the assess phase, the easiest way to get a buy-in is to actually do a quick POC. And that's the next part I want to talk about, which is the strategy development and converting that into execution, right? Now, strategy is great on paper. How do you really get that into action? That's where companies fail. I've seen enough of companies, enough of ideas go to trash because of that. That you have great ideas, but you don't have great execution in place, right? So the first phase in the execution of that, from your AI strategy for your business to execution, is to pilot a project or set of projects. So from that list of 6 or 7 things, take one or two, whichever you have, the hypothesis that you have, validate that hypothesis. Maybe you start with a chatbot for your customer service. That's the easiest one. Everybody is building those these days. Very easy to find code, build code for that. But really see if that is the one that makes sense for your customers. You don't want to know your customer. You don't want to have one another chatbot for them. But if that is the one where you can increase the efficiency, get those folks who currently answer those chat questions to work on something else, that's a great way, right? So and related to that is build teams and capabilities. Don't rely on one-off things. You have to build the institutional knowledge in the team to build AI systems, uh, understand machine learning. As a product manager, as a data analyst, as any role, regardless of what your role is, if you don't understand AI anymore, and this is a very bold statement I'm going to make, people have opinions about that, is that your role will get diminished over time if you don't understand AI. It doesn't mean that you need to build AI system, but you need to understand how AI works, how it can help you, and start using it for your day-to-day job. That is coming. You can't hide away from it anymore. That's the reality. So start. Many of you are already using ChatGPT, for example, to find information or to get to do your job or anything like that, right? So start using it, start understanding it. If you understand it enough and you can actually build a relationship of those systems to your work, that's a great start. Go further, poke a little bit more, learn about LLMs, learn about prompt engineering, learn about some of these new things. So it's very, very important, regardless of what your role is: CEO, CTO, CIO, uh, business leader, engineering leader, whatever your role is. You might be great software engineers, but if you're not using AI in a few years, again, this this these areas are going to grow, and roles are going to get impacted by this. So very, very important. The last two phases, of course, to scale, integrate, test, make sure it's working, it works for your scale. If you think about a chatbot that works for 3 customers, it should work for 300 customers, it should work for 3,000 customers as well. So think about that: implementation, scale, production workloads, think like that. And last but not least, very important, is to really continuously improve the system, have feedback loops in this. Once deployed and done is not enough. These systems have tendency for the probable, I can never say that word, probabilistic nature. So they're never always accurate. It's not 1-0 like a typical software engineering code that it used to be, because they're based off LLMs, and LLMs have hallucinations and other issues. So you really need to continuously learn that. You should have thumbs up, thumbs down type um, feedback loops that goes back into your in your systems, where you continuously look at that, how many people are liking it, how many people not liking it. If you're not liking it, ask for more information from them, understand what went wrong, try to reproduce that, and have some governance in place. This is the most difficult part today. Many of these ideas are actually never seeing production because of that. And I'm happy to talk about many of those things. Again, I post about it on regular basis. What are the different tools, libraries, frameworks, evaluation frameworks, AI ethics frameworks, and other things that you should know about. So just building the system is not enough. Making sure that it works, and it works with a great quality, is really, really important. So that those are the two main things I really wanted to double click on: your strategy and then execution. Now, what are the challenges, right? What are the challenges that I'm seeing? Some of them I've already mentioned, but I do want to share a few more. One of them is about data quality and availability. Um, I have been in data for a very long time and know it firsthand. I've done data engineering for most of my career. This is the area where I can talk for hours. Uh, Garbage in is garbage out, right? So regardless of what your AI systems are, if your data is not clean, it's not ready, if it's not in good shape, your system is not going to be accurate. Your system is going to provide false results, is going to provide inaccurate results. So data quality work is still very important. So if you are a data engineer, data analyst, that kind of role, your role is very, very important. You have to make sure these systems have good, high quality data. The second biggest challenge is the ethical AI and accountability aspect of it. So, as I mentioned, that models, these LLMs, large language models, and others have hallucinations. You need to really ground them in your data. That's why these techniques like RAG and others are really, really important, because you just want to, you have to really look at the reality and provide citations and make sure that whatever is your system providing is correct. So, really look into those ethical AI practices. In Microsoft, we have responsible AI board. Every team has a responsible AI champ. What happens is, every time when we are checking in any code, we have to go through this 21 step process, where we have to, as an engineer or a product manager, have to go through and make sure that we adhere to all those things. And then we have systems in place, even in our GitHub. We They go through the code and really see if there is anything which is unethical, anything which is not using the frameworks that we have been provided to. And then if it is not, we go through this another cycle of review, and many of our releases get delayed because of it, but we think that's the right thing to do. Rather than putting the code out there, even with all of these checks, we still make mistakes. So I would really, really recommend for you to have those checks and balances in your code base. And last but not least is, have change management and resistance to adoption. The Not have, what I meant by that is, the biggest challenge I see still is the resistance to adoption. Many people say, like, "Oh, AI is just a buzzword. It's not gonna do this and that. I don't believe in it. I don't think it's gonna work. It's wrong. I tried this particular chatbot. It gave me this wrong answer. What is this? All of that, right?" I understand that. I get it. Uh, but I will reiterate that it's here to stay. It's better to understand it. I read this quote somewhere that your job will not be taken by a AI, it will be taken by a person using AI. So let's be that person. Let's be that person who can really understand AI, who can really understand how these systems work. Let be that person who builds these systems, right? Because we will need more of those folks. Some of the best practices: cross-functional collaboration. Don't try to do all of this on your own. Try to find a team of people with the same vision and work with them and collaborate with them and give them early feedback, give them early MVPs types products that they can see. Be very transparent about the AI role in the system, in which part of the system you're using AI. Be very transparent about that. You don't want folks to find out later that, oh, you used an LLM in the system, because again, it's not the same software engineering that it used to be. So and build trust through explainable AI. So have systems in place which can explain what happened. Again, even with that, the nature of LLMs is not highly predictive. So you can have system. For example, I'll give you a very simple example. When we get the natural language to SQL working, we have an internal library. We have a check. There is a responsible AI check. So whatever answers the LLM give back, we check that it provides no harm. It is safe and all those things. There's a small check we do, and then one other thing we do is we actually run that SQL through a T-SQL parser to see if it's really correct SQL, right? So those are two additional steps we added, which add to the latency when you ask that question. But we think that's the right thing to do, because if you just take the LLM answer and put it out there, there's a high chance it might not be 100% correct, or it might give some answers that are not um, relevant or not maybe harmful in some cases, right? Sometimes when you try to ask, we test these systems, sometimes we try to ask these biased questions. You'll see some of these famous chatbots will say, I don't have the answer right now, or they will give you a generic answer. That answer is really coming from their ethical AI practices, because they have a check in the answer when the LLM returns back the answer to say if this is according to their policies, if it is what they think is ethical or not, right? So it's important for you to actually think about that. So I'll take a pause here, see a few questions coming in. Anything, Zana, do you want to go over? That would be great.
First of all, I'd like to thank you for the lovely presentation. I feel like I had a list of questions before we got on, and you've answered almost every single one of them with the presentation. And I feel like with the demo, it was so much more learnful. And we do have a few questions in the comments, but before that, I have a question that I want to ask and get some clarity on. And that is that how do you think that how impactful do you think is it to upskill workers and foster an AI culture, and how do you think that implements when we how do you think that implements the building of AI integration into companies?
Yeah, very important question. And that was my second point that I was trying to put in the strategy and also the execution.
Mhm.
So you can have the best strategy in place and best ROI and best slides and decks and whatever you want to do, go. But without the folks who are really building it, without the skills of those folks, it's not going to work out, right? Again, one
Uh-huh.
person cannot do it all. Those are very important that you have to basically think about that, right? Now, how what types of skills you're needed? You need to have a well-rounded team. You need. I'm not saying your typical software engineers are going away. You need software engineers. The new term that folks are using is called AI engineers. These software engineers who know how to do really prompt engineering is what this new term is all about. AI engineers, right? So how to talk to
Uh-huh.
LLMs, how to effectively talk to LLMs, how your APIs and the systems that you're building can really scale to talk to these LLMs. Now, on the other side, you need some data science as well, because when to choose what LLM, how do you know the answer that has came back is the high quality for your results? So for our team, I'll give you example. When we built our own, we started on this last year when we built our own internal copilot. So I'll give you an example of that. Our internal copilot is when you create a case for in Microsoft Azure where something is not working. Now one of the engineer gets on call. Nobody likes to be on call, but we get this pager and we get on call. Now there's an escalation from a customer and you want to figure out what just happened, right? Now previously that engineer who is on the call will spend hours to figure out what really went wrong, what system was not responding, whatever the issue was, right? Now we built a co-pilot, which this person, this we call it internal ICM co-pilot, where they can look at that issue that was created. They can look at all of the history, similar to the example that I just gave you for insurance. We can look at all the history of that particular customer, what has happened in the past. We also have access to their telemetry, so we see what they are doing right now. We also look at what else is happening in Azure. Maybe there's a outage somewhere, and now that person gets a summary of everything, and they are up and running in like few minutes, literally few minutes. That used to take hours. So we've reduced the time to the detection of the issue, figuring out what really going on. It also goes in further and actually says what we have seen similar issues from other customers like this and what we've done in that case. So this is a great example. And going back to your question, as an engineer, now I'm more equipped to get that answer. So that person now understand how this system was built. So what type of learnings you need? You need to understand how LLMs work. You need to understand prompt engineering. You need to understand basics of AI engineering, in that sense of how you can build these LLM interaction into your software engineering. So the CEO of NVIDIA recently said in one of his talks that he made a very bold statement that in the next few years, almost every piece of software will use some kind of LLM.
Mm-hmm.
So for you to be ready for that, you need to really think about that. And that actually is a good segue to where I think the future is going. This is what I want to stop this. This is my last couple of slides. The future where I see, and I see we started with chatbots today, but the future is really AI agents. And this, everybody's saying 2025 is the year of AI agents. I truly believe in it. Last year, when I wrote my own internal strategy paper, this was the first thing I added. I'm really glad that now see it becoming mainstream. And I was like, yeah, I told you that, right? So the AI agents are really taking into place. The most of the repetitive work will be taken by AI agents. Autonomous system, we're already seeing it. I drive a Tesla here. Tesla has this full complete driving assistance, and it's mind blowing. If I'm tired or anything like that, I put it on autopilot. I just need to make sure I have my hands on the steering wheel, and everything else is taken care by. The first time I drove that, I was afraid like anything, because when it was doing the turn by itself, I'm like, it's gonna hit something, or something bad is going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm so used to it now that I know that it works. Again, of course, as a human in the loop, I'm still there. It's not fully driverless yet. I've actually drove in, not drove, but in San Francisco, there's a company called Waymo, where you, with the app, ask it, it's completely driverless. It's the first time you sit in it, you get lots of anxiety. And you sit on it, and it only runs in the central San Francisco area. The first time I sat on it, there was a bike that came by, and I was like, it's gonna hit it, right? But it didn't, and it was fine. So really, that's the future I'm looking at. And there's a lot of that coming. And what that means is, this is the last slide I want to show the evolutions. Today we are in somewhere in the first and second picture, right? We today, when you go to chatbots or chat GPT, you're actually doing this no agent thing, where you're prompting, it goes to LLM, in this case GPT, GPT latest one 401 or something like that, it will answer you, right? In future, it will be agent, a single agent, a few agents, right? A lot of companies today in the Silicon Valley are building agent systems. If you have ideas, this is a great time to build a startup which does these agents. This is the future. So I see companies are building agents for healthcare, agents for supply chain, agents for customer service, even software engineering agents. There's a company here which has built a complete thing which is called Devon, and that's a software engineer. So it's an AI system. So that's where it is. But in future, where I see businesses going is a multi-agent systems, agents talking to each other. It is scary. It is it's something that people are envisioning right now. I can already see this. This is where this world is evolving to. So you need to know about these things. You need to be in a place where you understand these agents. Not only understand these agents, you can build these agents. And if you're a business who has a company who builds one of these agents, you are in a great spot. So that's really where I see AI solutions are evolving. And that was literally my last slide. So really want to end with that. And again, we still have a lot of time, so we'll love to get more questions from any one of you.
Okay, so we do have a question that you can see on screen. It'd be great if you could please answer that. Is it visible to you?
Yeah, I can see it. Let me read it. As is mentioned, AI is okay, but as affected the AI cobblers right now, do you think in long run will generate AI models by using AI? Do you think the market could change? Yeah, so really great question, right? So this really question is about, like, today we are talking about Copilot. Do we think in the future the AI will kind of completely build those systems? Yes, there's a possibility, right?
Mm-hmm.
The what really happening is right now, if you look at the latest OpenAI model called O1, now I think they have the O2 or O3. Um, what that model is that they call reasoning model. It does not only just gives you prompt and answer, it can reason through it. It can reason the answer and can go into multi-step of that. It's not, again, not super different from the one-off thing, but it's a next step, right? So really what I can see in a system, there is a company, it's called napkin.ai. Definitely, I think that's how they spell it. It's one of my favorite unknown startup company nobody knows about. You just go there, you write your prompt, and it actually literally, what in the old days when you whiteboard, right, you write it on a napkin, your ideas, and it sketches it out. You just go there, you write the prompt, it will write the whole summary for you. It will write the hypothesis, it will write all the things that we should go and do. So those type of systems are really the future, where from a simple idea you can really generate ideas, you can really do work with that. So I definitely think Copilot is just a start. As I mentioned in the previous slides, agents is the future, and multi-agent systems, autonomous systems working on their own is the reality that we are going to see in the next year or so. This year, I'm already starting to see a lot of that. So definitely check that out. Awesome. Okay.
Uh, yeah, so the next question is that what cases of AI and which framework or ML models are best suited for personalized recommendation systems, in your opinion?
This is a great question. I wish I had a slide for that, but Mariam, please connect with me on LinkedIn. I'll share with you a few links. The one of the actually my screen is not shared, so let me actually find out a slide and put it up while I'm talking. So there is a new set of frameworks that are coming. So in the software engineering worlds, don't share my screen yet, sorry, I'm finding the slide. So give me a second to get that. Um, the 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 place where we're going, actually I found that, so let me just put full screen. This is where I think the world is going to evolve, and this, let me switch screens, display settings. Okay, yeah. So if you can show my screen now. So this is a slide that I usually use in my sessions. Again, this is a AI developer platform, how I am looking at it. And again, this is evolving at a very, very fast pace. This is going to change in the next few months. Like, so don't hold me accountable for that. But this is how I looking at. So in the previous world, what you had the front end layer, you had the your API layer, you had your data layer, and you had at the bottom of it either a data center or something like that, right? That was it. So this is how I think the AI developer platform is changing. So your question around frameworks, really spot on, really important to know which frameworks to use. So my favorite couple of frameworks that are on the top AI developer tools and SDKs are those, right? Entity framework I use for .NET and all of that, but LangChain and semantic kernel are the two for AI. So LangChain is one of the most famous one. It has Python as one of the primary language. My database service is actually available there as a vector store as well. They have further tools within them called LangGraph and others that can be used for agentic applications. So if you want to learn a new framework, I would highly recommend to look at LangChain or Semantic Kernel. Semantic Kernel is basically a Microsoft open source equivalent of the same, does the similar thing, a little bit different way, but they do very similar things. So this is the AI frameworks people are using. And in order to deploy models and all of that, you need other things. For example, Microsoft, we have the Azure AI Studio now called AI Foundry, where you can deploy any of these models. So that's the top part. So from your applications, your Copilot, whatever you're building, the first thing you need to know is what are the tools and SDKs, right? The next thing is what model to use. So that I'm putting 5 examples here. There are like hundreds of models, right? So which models to use, like when to use which model. This is a talk in itself. I'm happy to come back and do that if needed. But GPT models, OpenAI models are one of the latest and greatest one. If you want to go open source, definitely check the five series of Microsoft models that are small models, or check out one of our like Meta models. Meta or Facebook has new ones. Mistral has a few models. So those models are the ones that are good equivalent. And I believe there is a new reasoning equivalent model from China that is a open source as well. So you go there. And where do you deploy these models? Again, completely up to you. Do you host them on your own server? Do you host them on Microsoft Azure or Amazon or GCP? So that's the inferencing endpoints. Again, a talk in itself just for it, which one to use when. But those are all the platforms. If you want to do completely on your own computer, I have on my laptop here, I have a single GPU based laptop. I use Olama. Olama is completely open source. I use
Mhm.
the embedding models completely Olama. Check out the library. If you want to do it on the web, do it in Hugging Face, completely open source, everything like that. And if you want to do it in cloud, again, I don't want to sell, but do it in Microsoft Azure Cloud. But that's the thing, right? And then data, right? Why data? Because I said garbage in, garbage out. If you don't have good data, you can't do any of these things. So your data is wherever it is today. Make sure it's good quality. If you're using one of our databases, Azure databases, definitely connect with me. I would love to know more about your use cases. And again, the bottom layer is where this is hosted today. So this could be hosted in your own data center. This could be hosted in the cloud. This could be hosted on a local container and based Kubernetes or Docker based container. That's the Docker based container is what I use on my laptop completely. Even if I don't have any internet, I can use the 5.3 model completely local and do chat completion. So excellent question. This is a field where you should be evaluating. If you want to start with one framework today, I would highly recommend start with LangChain or semantic kernel.
Thank you so much. That was so helpful. I even for me. Thank you very much once again. The entire presentation was very lovely. It was very, very lovely to have you. I hope you had a good time. I hope everyone was able to learn something and take away something from the session. To conclude, AI Data Yard will also be having their exclusive training program, AI for Business Leaders, starting from the 8th of February. So if anyone's interested, please check out our website. Thank you so much once again, Muazma. It was an honor to have you. And with that, I think we can wrap up the night.
Thank you so much.
Take care. Allah Hafiz.
Allah Hafiz.
Allah Hafiz.